Study Session 3 Types of Social Institutions. Introduction. In Module 1 of this course, we laid the foundation for our examination of social institutions. With your understanding of the definition and characteristics of social institutions, this module introduces you to the types of social institutions. At least, all of you have family name, go to church or mosque. You are in school by virtue of taking this course. You live in Nigeria governed by president and governors in your respective states. You also go to the market to transact business, and finally, when you fall ill, you go to the hospital or use the alternative medicine to ensure that you are well. Prepare your mind ahead. When you have studied this session, you should be able to identify and explain 5 types of social institutions. Briefly explain marriage institution. Explain endogamy and exogamy. Types of social institutions. For every human society comprises different types of social institutions to ensure its continuous existence and as a way of maintaining social order. The major types of social institutions common to all human societies include marriage institution, family institution, educational institution, religious institution, political institution, economic institution, health institution. For better understanding, we shall undertake a study of each of these institutions, starting with marriage as a social institution. Marriage institution. The institution of marriage is virtually universal in all human societies. Okay, 1984. It is a primary human institution that is indispensable to the society because it contributes immensely to holding human societies together by giving them stability, particularly with regard to sample, non-literate societies. Marriage institutions can be said to mean an institution that conveys social approval on the sexual union of 2 people or more who are expected to produce offspring. According to Pearl, 1976, marriage is so important that it was relatively rare for adults to go through life without marrying. Sociologists, according to Oloruntimehin and Akinola, 1996, have long speculated about the origin of marriage as a way of having more insight into the striking feature of the institution. As far back as 1861, a sociologist, J.J. Bakofen, contended that early humans lived in sexual promiscuity, where there were no rules to the game. For some reason, however, women found this situation inconvenient and so invented marriage and established families by asserting their further rights. Women knew their children, but fathers did not. When marriage was eventually institutionalized, fathers also became more certain about which children were theirs, and they started asserting father rights. Hunter and Whiting, 1976. Although the institution of marriage is a universal feature of human society, yet it takes a variety of forms in different societies. Indeed, there are rules and regulations about who should marry whom. These rules have a certain practicality about them which may vary from society to society. According to D. Domenico and Meldrum, 1994, there is a common misconception in Western countries that marriage is only the union of 2 people who are attached to each other. But in many non-Western societies, marriage has a wider significance and implies a social, economic, and political, as well as sexual and emotional union. Marriage in these societies affects not only the individuals involved, it also has repercussions for a whole network with which there is a connection through kinship and affinity. D. Domenico and Meldrum, 1994. Married couples in West African societies, for example, are expected to live together, cooperate with each other and with their relatives in the maintenance of the household. The couples are also expected to produce children and provide for their care and upbringing. Okay, Oloruntimehin and Akinola, 1996. In Nigerian society, traditionally, a woman is expected to remain a virgin until marriage and after marriage to confine her sexual intercourse to her and her husband. Premarital or extramating are, however, often overlooked or pardoned in men, although they are not encouraged. It is a fact that attitudes concerning sex relations and marriage are changing and an increasing number of women are involved in premarital and extramarital relations. Among the sermons of Polynesia, young men and women are expected to engage in a number of mating before marriage, none of which may necessarily result in marriage. Bills and Oja, 1971. Similarly, the Maasai of Kenya are sexually permissive, particularly among the warriors who are not permitted to marry. After a series of ceremonies making the end of boyhood, a warrior lives in a kraal, warrior's encampment, where he learns the arts of war from older men. Young unmarried women also live in kraal to serve as the warrior's sexual partners or lovers. The relationships are openly maintained and approved. When a warrior completes his assignments, military service, he returns to the town and marries. According to Stewart, as cited in Oke, Oloruntimehin and Akinola, 1996, infant marriage is practiced among young Siberian Chukchi women. A Siberian Chukchi woman may marry a 2 or 3-year-old boy and rear him till he reaches marital age. Similarly, among the Tupi Kawahib of South America, infant girls are considered married to the men who will later be their mates. These infants are reared in their husband's household with the idea of raising compatible mates. Stewart, 1973. Casing and Casing, 1971. Summarize the striking features of marriage as: marriage, rather than simply being a relationship between individuals, is characteristically a relationship between families and groups in many societies. Marriage entails a transfer of rights. It may be from husband's group or family to the wife's or vice versa. These rights may vary from one society to another. In most cases, it includes work services, sexual rights, and right over children and property. Marriage may be primarily a contract creating an economic cooperation or socio-political alliance rather than a mere sexual relationship. In some societies, a husband or a wife is permitted access to persons other than the spouse. Marriage in many societies is primarily a formal means of legitimating children. Most societies practice polygamy, polygyny. A marriage is not terminated simply as a result of the death of both partners. Special arrangement is often built into the system to ensure the continuity of the contractual relationship between husband's group and wife's group. Examples of marriage from different parts of Nigeria. Incest regulation. Uncontrolled sex is potentially dangerous and destructive. Therefore, all societies provide some means of regulating marriage and sexual relations. Regulations as to whom one may or may not marry. Okay, 1984. A number of factors are involved in these regulations, such as social class, economic position, and prestigious. and consanguine relationships already in existence, so that the marriage of a member of the family may not disturb or disrupt the intrafamilial harmony and cooperation already in existence. Such devices are known as incest regulations, the forbidding of marriage between designated categories of people. The most rigid regulation found in all cultures in the incest taboo, the prohibition of sexual intercourse or marriage between mother and son, father and daughter, or brother and sister. However, there are some exceptions to the universality of the incest taboo. For instance, brother and sister were allowed to marry in the royal families of ancient Egypt and Hawaii. This practice was adopted as a way of preserving the extreme sacredness of the royal family. Okay, 1984. What rules regulate whom one can marry? Feedback. The most rigid regulation found in all cultures in the incest taboo, the prohibition of sexual intercourse or marriage between mother and son, father and daughter, or brother and sister. Exogamy and endogamy. All societies also impose restrictions upon the choice of a married partner. These are primarily rules of exogamy and endogamy. It is the culture of a society that determines the classes of persons one may or not marry. While exogamy is the practice where a culture prescribes that individuals must marry outside their group, endogamy, on the other hand, is the prescription of marriage within a particular group. The origin of exogamy is not definitely known, but there are certain situations that make the system understandable. This practice is compatible with the prescription against incest taboo. However, it creates an alliance and interdependence between groups. Endogamy, on its part, often exists along with exogamy. In Nigeria, we generally practice exogamy, but some ethnic or sub-ethnic groups discourage marriage outside their own group. This is also true about some religious groups and social classes. Most Nigerians, especially the upper and middle classes, marry within their social class. Study session summary. In study session 3, you have learned that marriage institution is universal, and in fact, those who remain unmarried may be viewed as deviant. There are various forms of marriage across African societies with different institutional practice. There are rules governing whom one can or cannot marry, while there are sanctions against incest. End of study session 3. Thank you for listening.